What is it like to be part of the history of modern American tattooing? Names like Philadelphia Eddie, Jack Rudy, Lyle Tuttle, Ed Hardy. Well, today we have Gill Montie. So fortunate to have Gill and his wife today on the Ink Different Tattoos podcast. You're going to enjoy this interview where Chico and Gabe dive into the history of tattooing and what the future holds from people who have been there from the beginning. Today on the Ink Different Tattoos podcast.
Welcome to Ink Different Podcast. Today, if you see me smiling, it's like Christmas today for me. I got somebody here sitting next to me. Not only is somebody that I used to look up to in the industry, in the tattoo world, whatever you want to call it. I used to see it on the magazines. Back in the day, the only way that we have access to Easy Rider magazines, tattoo magazines, and there he was. His tattoos, the skulls, okay, with those flames. If you watch some movies like Terminator, you're going to see it briefly, but you're still going to see it on the movie. Today is Christmas for me, and I have my hero, Gill Montie. Gill fucking Montie. If you don't know who it is, Google it. I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to waste any time explaining who it is. To me, I know who it is. Chico, my co-host, you know who we have today.
Gill the Drill.
Gill the Drill.
From over the hill. Never worked and never will. I'm a dangerous man from a dangerous town. I've led a very dangerous life. I've had 16 dangerous girlfriends. Now I got a very dangerous wife. Wanted by the Board of Inquiry, hated by the Board of Health. Look how people are looking in the mirror, even scare myself.
There you go. There you go. And I forgot to mention Luna. I don't know if Luna is coming out on the camera. Luna is mounting guard while we're going to be talking, taking care of everything. Is going to be fine. Welcome. Hey, look,
thank
my
you very
pleasure.
Much. That's very flattering.
Thank you not only for being here, thank you for the way that you inspire me in all these years. Thank you also for your service. I don't know if a lot of people know, but you're a Vietnam vet.
Yes, I am.
So thank you also for your service. And thank you for everything that you have brought to the industry in the times of the rock and roll, the cool rings, and the motorcycles. Tattoo industry, back in the day and now, differences, how you feel it, what's going on now, how does it feel for you when you coming from all these, to me, is the romanticism on the industry when it was all peace vinegar, motorcycles, motorcycle clubs, rock and roll, and fuckery on the industry to this kind of like a soft stage now on the industry when, how does it feel to you?
To me, the tattoo man has always been a special character. You know, the way I see it, this is my philosophy on it, you know. I grew up at a time very poor and moved a lot, never really owned nothing. And then I seen these characters with these tattoos, and I realized how permanent they was. That's what really fired me up and got me going. It's taking somebody's inside and putting it on their outside.
Yeah, because you say the tattoo man, this magic man, the wizard, the tattoo wizard. Yeah. It's just like that's how it used to be.
I've seen people coming in, you know, all sunk down, their shoulders slouched forward and stuff like that. And they leave like 10 foot tall.
But what about the tradition? Because you coming, Gill, you coming from a lot of tradition. Yeah, you've been around. Come on. And the tradition is there, alive in you, and the people that you have met along the way, names on the industry with a lot of tradition. So you're part of it.
I remember my young days coming in as a young tattooer. I remember seeing the older guys. I've been around. I mean,
for example, do you remember one?
Bert Grimm, you know.
Mr. Grimm, there you go.
Bert Grimm, you know, Bob Shaw. I mean, all them guys. But I learned a lot from Bert Grimm, and just because he was coming up in Vegas for his cancer treatments, and I would talk to him for hours. You know, he'd say, God damn it. You know, like, he'd smoke a cigarette. He's there for cancer. He'd throw the cigarette down on the ground. I'd dive down and get the cigarette, but I probably still got him at the house in a box somewhere, you know?
Really?
I mean, this guy tattooed Bonnie and Clyde, Pretty Boy Floyd, you know? They'd draw out their banks and then they'd go up to a shop in St. Louis.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, God damn it, this business. these motherfuckers are giving up the best kept secret in the world. Shut your goddamn mouths. Oh, and this is back in the late 70s. He's going, it was a lot of money. He goes, this guy's on her saying, I got $5,000 for this back, Shut the fuck up. Next thing you know, the tax man's going to be knocking on the door. And sure enough, who's the first person you talk to when you go in on the floor? Is the tax man.
Yes, sir.
Pretty much.
Yes, sir.
Everybody talk about all the money they made. He says, it's the best kept secret there is. And now look at them, what they're doing,
Talking about part of tattooing, that is not somebody tattooing for the past 10 years. He has no freaking idea these times why you talking about, for example, the way
you give a fuck less.
Exactly.
Nothing you could do about it. Here's the deal. Like I said, when I come in, all the old guys, man, we respected them.
Respect.
I went to Carolina Slim on the North Carolina. I went to his house up in the hills and knocked on his door. He answered the door and he goes, yeah. I said, I wanted to talk to you about some tattooing stuff. Shuts the door. I knocked on it. Goes, get the fuck out of here. I'm not interested in tattoos no more. I'm not leaving until you do. And I sat down there for 3 days and nights.
Wow.
Talking
tattoos.
I wouldn't leave. I'd get over and piss in his bushes and
before he let you in.
Huh? Before he let me in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wouldn't let me in.
Talking just tattoos, not tattooing.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to talk tattoos to him or get
talking tattoos.
Just be in his same space with them. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then you go, you ain't gonna fucking leave, are you? No, I ain't gonna fucking leave. Come on in. He says, now, you want a goddamn tattoo? Well, yeah. Okay, sit in the chair. He's got the old bucket and sponge. Probably the water's probably been in there since the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, fucking puts a fucking, I'm going to put what I think you should have. And he puts a fucking swastika in the center of my chest.
Okay.
And he goes, you're all right. And then he fucking, get the fuck out of here now.
How was it? For example,
but
this is fucking awesome.
You had such respect for these old guys, these old tattooers, man, and you just wanted some of it to rub off on you. Now.
Did you get that now from the new guys? Did you get they say they come Gill, you know why? It's just thanks to you, I'm here. Or thanks to guys like you,
well, yeah,
you paved the road, you know?
I get it from some folks, sure.
But no old fuckers like me, because I'm saying because I'm old. I've been 42 years tattooing. You got way
young
longer.
People, they could give two fucks less about me.
Really? You don't get that from the new guys?
No, I could walk through a convention now and have not one person stop and say a word to us.
Or next time you're going to walk with me, I'm going to make sure that those motherfuckers are going to know who you are.
Yeah, well,
It's just...
But here's what I'm saying. It's like now all the older tattooers, a guy in my range, right? They're like, oh man, these motherfuckers don't give me no respect. They don't do this. They don't do that. It's like, man, maybe they just all need a hug blanket or something now.
Okay.
Because it ain't coming from them.
So an emotional support animal, maybe. Probably. I don't know.
I mean, it's just, who the fuck Gill Montie? Who cares what he says?
But you see,
I'm
for
good.
example,
My customers tell me how good I am.
that's it, yeah. Okay, but when you have your apprentice, that you say okay, fuck it, you call her by numbers. That's no problem. But you pass along also to these experiences. Okay.
I love this bitch.
Okay.
Tattooing, it gives me everything I've got.
Yep.
Everything I have. And like I said, the Christmas tree has a tattoo machine on the top of it. Yep. Everything comes from that machine. Yeah. Maybe not that particular machine, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My whole world, everything I got comes from tattooing.
Yeah.
My whole concept, my whole mind. Like Alex, the apprentice, right? He'll clean the fence, he'll paint the garage, or he'll fucking hang lights. He doesn't talk about tattoos hardly. He's just learning how to be a tattooer from being around a tattooer.
Yeah.
The tattooing part is simple.
Yeah. You
can teach that fucking dog how to put a tattoo with the equipment that's out today.
Yeah.
But But to be that guy, to be that tattoo man, that's the magic.
That's the magic. But the magic that because we talked before and we talk about like being like this medicine man. The tattoo man, it was this medicine man back in the day. It has this halo, magical that people look at you, and just, man,
when I walk in any place, I've noticed.
Yeah.
I make sure of it.
You have it. The moment that you enter and you being seen, like I say, you still have it. What the fuck is going on in the industry nowadays? There is no more magic. Magic is gone.
I don't know. I'm still here.
How do we get it back?
Well, I'm still here, and I'm training another one.
Fuck yeah.
I'm training a mini-me,
Good.
And that's just how it goes. Like I said, now I'm teaching them how to fucking tattoo. Anybody could do that. I teach him how to be a tattoo man. That's what he gets
tattoo man.
From being around, being in the house with me, coming around. We're not in a shop. I don't even have a shop right now.
You have one
I tattoo out of my house. I'm a professional scab vendor.
That's Jonathan's show.
Yeah, that's right.
That's Jonathan's show.
That's right.
The scab vendor. But if somebody comes now and say, Drill, I put you in a shop, go and do the same thing that you were doing 50 years ago. You will go to a shop to have that, again, the shop vibe and be there few hours a day. And I don't know. Will you do it again?
Yeah, of course I would.
Fuck yeah. You see what I'm saying? The
I
magic.
miss it. That's my lifeline. That's my whole
Do you
thing.
miss that? You miss the shop life? And even the moments I remember when we used to be not doing anything at the shop and probably drawing.
To me, I miss the vibe. To me, everything is so fucking anesthetic. Like, to me, a tattoo shop smells like stale beer and fucking green soap and blood and, you know what I mean? Money.
I have my bike leaking oil on the middle of my shop
and money,
still.
you know what I mean? I fucking play the music loud, and they have human sacrifices. People get beat up in there. And
not this sterile environment that is today.
Yeah, it's a fucking tattoo shop. It's not an art studio. It's a fucking tattoo shop.
Exactly. And
and people come in and get memories put on them.
Exactly.
I missed that with the Flash, the Death Before Dishonor, And
I have it all on the wall. I have flash racks.
Yep.
And the walls pour in flash. People enter and say
yep.
You know what I mean? I say that you're not going to use fucking Pinterest to pick a tattoo. Pick from the wall. Yeah. I don't want to use the internet to tattoo you. Pick from the wall.
I mean, if to have another shop, I would actually have that on the fucking door. No Pinterest. It comes off the wall. And just have all old, cool, good stuff on there.
There is some things like, for example, technology. Pigments nowadays, they're better, less toxic than the Pelican used to be, okay? Machines, cartridges, super easy to use. One machine for everything and no starting to tattoo with 3 or 4 machine setups already, one for the color, one for the line, one for the shading. So we evolved, but we're missing the soul.
Yeah, because people come in with their camera.
There you go.
Or the picture, there's no communication. The artist has headphones on.
We talked about that today before.
Has headphones on, and you're just there. You're just getting a picture. It don't mean nothing to him. I used to have a guy come in. His fucking son got run over the day before, and he wanted a portrait of his son put on him.
Yeah.
So him and his wife, I sat there for several hours just doing this picture. And listening to the stories and crying, and that's a tattoo man. That's my thing.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I don't expect to change the world, but now I expect to keep a certain bloodline alive.
I know who you are.
Yeah, you do.
We know, and we have the highest of respect for who you are, what you did on the industry.
So you come into my house? Did you say when you come down there?
I'm gonna go and grill it. We're gonna go through the garage and the stuff.
Okay.
I wanna see the needle jigs that you say they have 2 of each.
Okay.
Oh, he's got artifacts.
Minimum.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't have a collect. He has artifacts.
I was telling Gill that I need to open a
Gil
museum.
doesn't know that I've
in the
stood outside
garage.
his house and peeked in the windows.
Charge the people to come and take a look.
Oh, that
Charge
was
some
you?
entry fee.
I got, we got artwork. A lot of artists send artwork or do paintings.
And I've been seeing you on Instagram.
I
also,
have
too.
all that stuff.
I've been seeing
the drawings.
The drawings.
Oh man,
okay.
I'll tell you, I'm having a ball
Your
with
skull.
that. That's
Look,
how I'm getting by right now.
if somebody show me your skull from a different state,
Yeah.
still from Florida, I know that is your skull.
Oh yeah.
There is no mistakes.
Nobody draws that bad. I know.
No, don't say that. No,
I
no.
know.
You have your own juju
My
on it,
own,
your
my
own
own
style.
juju,
It's
my
just-
own philosophy.
Hell
It's
yeah.
my own thing, But see, that's back in the day. That's all tattooers had their own vibe,
Yeah.
their own thing.
Now is you
It's
think it's
generic.
uniform is they copy and paste pretty much
Yeah.
nowadays, no?
Yeah.
Because I was talking not long ago to one of these realism tattoo artists, very good. But when it comes to the product, I say like, what about if you need to do some outline? No, I don't do outline. I do all shading. I do realism. I do like a painting. I don't do any outline. So I got no outline skills. No,
Smack.
Fine.
you know. And remember, back in the day, you need
I almost
to
shot my
outline.
teeth across the floor.
You know, you need to fucking outline back in the day. Those long ass line. If you didn't know how to outline, you couldn't tattoo. Okay, so that's what I'm saying is this difference between the history and the past and the present too, and this modernity of today. I feel that there is an imbalance that have to be filled up somehow. some way.
I've got I couldn't tell you how many tattooers in my town. Ain't none of them come by.
Why?
None of them come by. Probably afraid of getting their fucking ass kicked.
Maybe
Probably,
they're
but
scared
I
of you.
don't know.
Gil, you have a reputation. Come on, maybe
So?
there's skill.
Well, so
Okay,
danger's my business, and business is good.
there you go.
Aw.
You see what I'm saying?
We can
No.
have tea and
But you know
crumpets.
what? Every time they come by, people come by, they go, "Man, I thought you were badass. You're just old pussy,"
Look, and now it's just you remind me of somebody very dear to me, and
Oh, that bearskin rug you were telling me about earlier.
how it is the life of the companion of the legend.
You
How it
got to
treats
hear
you.
the story first.
Oh yeah, fuck. You tell the story. Leave me
Okay.
out of it.
Okay. 1990, there was a convention in Amsterdam. So we
Okay.
go there, and I get tattooed by Dave Shore on my hand. Well, then a couple months later, I'm at a convention in New Orleans, and there's Dave with his hot little chick from Amsterdam, right? 19 years old. We go to this restaurant to this guy on Decatur Street called Coops. Yeah, I don't know if you go to Coops is a pretty popular place there. He used to have a 5-star restaurant up in the top. So a bunch of select people invited to go there and have dinner up there. Well, at our table was Randy Adams and his girl, Jonathan Shaw, Dave Shore and his new bride, and then to her left was me, and there's my wife at the time, and then that was it at our table. But I had eyes on this one. Anyway, we had dinner. And she was busting the fucking waiter's balls because there's no such thing as eggplants in her broken English. Eggs come from chickens.
They don't grow on plants.
They
They
don't grow on
grow on
plants.
plants,
No, they
right?
don't.
Yeah, it makes
So
sense.
anyway, so
Makes
I don't
sense.
see her for some time, but I know they got married. Okay. So years and years later, I go to work up in Vancouver on a movie called Snakes on a Plane. So I go to visit Dave and Gemma for the day. Okay. So I still got the heart on for her. But anyway, that spent the day. But then sometime later after I get back, quite a bit later, Dave dies.
And here you are.
Well, it ain't
So-
quite like that. Now,
Stalk me.
Really?
so
Okay. It paid off.
anyway, now after I had my big surgery and I fucked off all my money and I had a dope habit, and I'm in the skids and and then I bouncing around all over the place. I end up living with my daughter, I'm helping her open up a tattoo shop in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I meet this
I
couple.
thought it was in Arizona.
Arizona, yeah, Arizona. Sorry.
Okay.
It was Arizona.
Just gotta
So-
get that straight.
In Arizona, so this couple comes in to get a skull tattoo for this competition they have up in Canada. And they're from Vancouver. I asked them, well, you ever heard of Dave and Gemma? Me and Gemma are like this. We're best friends. And Dave and stuff like that. Well, oh, how's she doing now since Dave passed? She's kind of a knucklehead girl, you know, so she's really
Okay.
not too much around her. So
Yeah.
I said, if her dance card's open, I'm interested. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So
Cute.
now we start talking within a couple of days.
Yeah.
Then it wasn't 3-4 days. We knew that we had to be together. We were in love.
And since then?
Well, I get a call from the Hard Rock Cafe in Vegas
Uh-huh.
going, hey, Gil, we heard you opening a shop. And I said, no, I'm helping my daughter open a shop here in Arizona.
Yeah.
They go, well, man, we'd like to throw you a grand opening party,
Oh, wow.
you know, and we got this opening, and what do you think? I go, yeah, cool, when? They go, what's this next weekend? Okay, fine.
And that's it?
Yeah, so I called Gemma, and she's in Canada, and I go, hey, you want to meet in Vegas? She goes, yeah, sure. You know, and joke around. I go, well, maybe we'll get married. She goes, well, if you do me like I like to be done, we'll get married.
Okay.
So we got married we got married in the morning.
And that's
You
how
know?
I got the name Gill the Drill.
Oh yeah, sure.
Heal the drill.
Oh yeah, that's
So
right.
we got married in the morning and ain't been apart since.
That's it. Since then?
We're just connected at the hip. I mean, we don't get out of each other's sight, you know? I don't go no place without her, you know? And I was in the worst shape of my life that I've ever been at that time. I was broke, 0 credit rating, you know?
Yeah.
And fucked off $2.6 million bucks.
Yeah.
You know, I was fucked in the onion. And
Yeah.
health-wise, I had that surgery. I was in stage 10 pain, you know? And she made me in better shape than I am today. You know what I mean? Honestly, it was everything I needed. But she's
This
a knucklehead.
beautiful woman
She's
that
a
you have sitting
knucklehead.
next to you. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
I was asking you, like, just you've been around. She's been around.
Yes.
Your ups and downs, and that includes also your career. How does it feel to you, just from the industry, being next to such a legend? I know for you is your husband, your partner, and the person, but
It's
you know
like,
how
yeah, you
we-
forgot to take out the trash. God damn
You
it!
see, that's what I want to know. How does it feel? That's the way it goes. We kill the drill. Wait,
Yeah.
just like you tell him to go and take the trash out. And,
Take out the papers and the trash. Doom, doom.
really?
Or you don't get no spending cash.
So I know that that's in the intimacy of home, but just you've been around also just when he goes to shows, so people recognize him. And how does it feel to you? Like just,
You know, like when we came here and to just listen to you, how excited you are
yeah,
to meet him.
Yeah.
You know, like I know that, you know, like that's amazing for him because
Yeah.
like what he was saying to you, we can go places now, like tattoo conventions, and, you know, like nobody knows who the fuck he is. And that's, you know, like, I mean,
I think it
not-
hurts her
you
worse
know,
than it does me, actually.
it's like, you know, it's sad to see because we were just talking about this the other day, like how when we were younger, we were always treating our elders with respect, and you know,
Yeah.
and you kind of are doing all this stuff, and then and then you're thinking like, well, this is going to happen once I get older too, and now that whole thing is just gone, like the whole.
So you see also too, you
Yeah.
feel it and you leave the difference that
Yeah.
has been on the industry, the change that is not always for the better.
You know, like it used to be like a very super tight kind of like community.
Yes.
And before all the TV stuff, and like you would go to tattoo convention and everybody knew everybody. We all hang out, go party
Yeah.
together, do this, do that, you know, and then you wouldn't see each other for a long time. And then they would just be like, you know, like sometimes you could go for years and years without seeing them.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's just like yesterday. But now that whole kind of camaraderie thing is gone because it's so much like a competition now, like it's so, because there's so many people doing this now that it's almost like, it's like people aren't happy to see anybody succeed. They just, because
It's a lot of
there's
hate and
there's so
jealousy.
little to go around even more anymore. There's so many shops like everywhere.
Yeah.
And like he always says, you can only cut a pie in so many slices.
So many
So
slices,
everybody's like
yeah.
fucking starving practically. Everybody's got to pay the bills. There's more licenses, more this, more that. Like everything's more, and there's less. And when he says like people are doing tattoos for like fucking $13 because of Friday the 13th, or the minimum is like, it's like less than it was fucking 30 years ago, for fuck's sakes. Like, what is that shit?
Yeah.
That's like, is that not going backwards?
Yeah.
It
is.
might be evolving as an art form, but as
You're absolutely right.
Like
De-evolving also too.
Yeah.
When it comes to the business part, the traditions part, the respect for the people that paved the road, for all the people that probably today they don't know who it is. Those that have been tattooing for 3-4 years, 5 years, even 10 years.
Even with all this technology we have and all this internet and all this stuff, it's like, why is not all this history like documented for everybody to see? Because these guys, they're dropping like fucking flies, like, and what happens is like as a wife, like I noticed from before with Dave, you hear the fucking story for 30 years. You're like,
Again,
like, oh my God.
Again,
okay, so now he dies. And now, say a couple of years later, maybe even longer, there's people like, well, what about this or that? And then I'm like, motherfucker, I heard the story so many times, but it did not get written down, or it did not get like recorded or anything like that. And now I don't want to say like exactly this or that, because we all remember stuff differently. Like every person, you can do one thing and everybody remembers things different. So now I'm kind of like, well, I don't want to like twist the freaking history, so I kind of don't want to say anything, which is kind of a shame, like that we should preserve that kind of like all the stories. Like I always notice with Alec, like he'll write it down, or he'll like quietly like video things, just because it is a lot to take in. And it's really stupid, but it really is true. Like you hear the story, you hear it, and then you just kind of like, yeah, whatever, you go do, but and then all of a sudden now you're like, it's gone, just like that.
And it's funny because you have such a great point in what you were saying, because we were talking exactly about that this morning, that all that, it has to be documented. It has to be preserved. It has to be maintained in a way that can be passed along, because it's going to be a time that probably we're not going to be around anymore. And all that shit and those stories and of those times that we hear 300 times till exhaustion.
You're like,
but
fuck.
Nobody's gonna know about it. Nobody's gonna remember it.
Exactly.
So it needs to be preserved. It needs to be passed along. It's part of the tradition.
It's even like, how we're saying we have so much stuff at the house, literally. Like there is, all this correspondence between tattooers. Like for instance, like I don't know, let's use Zeke Owens for like, there's letters, pictures, interactions between Gill and him, like drawings, like, hey, this is where you get that, like, here's how you mix the colors from somebody else, like all this kind of stuff. Like, I mean, really, it all should be like scanned in some kind of national or international database kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Same exact conversation.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Because, for example, like you see Zeke telling you just like, hey,
yeah, he's like one of my tattoo daddies.
Instead to put, I don't know, mix this red with, just do that is what paved the road for in companies to do colors and it's gonna get lost. It's gonna go away. That's part of the history.
Because you know how Gill says, like that was his tattoo dad, his mentor. Like that was the same for my first husband, Dave. Like him and his partner, they used to go visit Zeke, and then Zeke would only he would be like, now you got to go home, you got to go buy a fucking sterilizer and wear the gloves and do this, and then you can come back and then I'll tell you more stuff. So it was like that back then. Or then it would be like, now I will come to Canada and I will teach you stuff. And you know, like, so I'm originally from Amsterdam. So that's where I met Dave. So Dave worked at Hank's shop too. Mm-hmm. So that's where we met all the international artists. Like, and then we would have Zeke come over, and you know, like watching him stand somebody up and just go, you know, do a fucking tattoo standing up, like, and stretch the lines and just like poop, and then there's your tattoo, just like that, like magic. You know, like all that stuff. It's like that stuff's kind of gone now. Yeah, you know.
There is a part. It's coming to a point that it needs to be preserved. We starting to talk, and we're gonna try to just get in some direction with that, which probably will be bothering you a lot, because we want to see the garage. We want to see those letters. We want to document that and start just creating.
Well, the invitation's out there.
Yeah.
We don't want to rewrite the tattoo history. We want to just document it and preserve it.
I mean,
because
cool.
It's so rich in information and in experiences that I do believe that there is still tattoo artists that they can benefit out of that knowledge. Yeah. Not all is done, not all is invented, or just there is still a going back to the origins in some part of the industry, and that's liquid gold.
Well, you know, and in that way too, you know, because they like. It's when people die, and then, you know, like they literally do get forgotten and gone and whatever. Yeah. So quickly. But it keeps like the whole, you know, like the memories alive of the person and of the art, and you know, like I mean, I know we're all gonna die, we're all gonna be gone, and you know, at first everybody's gonna
you understand now why I wanted to know how you see it also too, because I knew that there is stories that you hear till exhaustion. Yeah. And probably already you know those stories by heart.
Yeah.
They're so important on what it makes the tradition along these years on the industry. And that's why I wanted to know how you see, how you feel when you go to a convention with Gill. And people, I don't say that, I'm sure that there is people know who is Gill, but most of the people don't. So, and I wanted to know also on your end how that feels and how you see it also too, because you have participated on the industry same as Gill. Probably not tattooing, but you've been to conventions, dinners, and parties from the industry. So you know the industry very well also too.
Well, I mean, I ran the shop, all that stuff, right? You know,
there you go.
Did everything, and then I ended up tattooing when I moved to the States. But,
there you go.
But you know, it's just like another thing is like people seem to forget, like, I mean, we made a lot of fucking money, but we also spend it like crazy because we're like that, and we're like, we'll just make more tomorrow, right? Whatever. Yeah. You fucking spend all the shit you made on dinner, make more the next day. It ain't like that no more. So now all of a sudden you're like old, and you're like, oh fuck, we got to pay all these fucking bills.
Shit. Shit, the FPL bill like, just show up. Well, pretty fuck. I know how it is.
You know, like,
trust me.
Like this fucking shit broke down. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, most of us did not do the whole thing of like thinking about stuff like that and putting money away.
Because it was a lifestyle. Yeah. We lived the lifestyle. It was a lifestyle.
And now you're like kind of scratching your head, because now it's like, oh, so now all of a sudden you got to learn how to be without that as well.
Which is more difficult now for us than what it used to be when we were 30.
Yeah.
Or when we were 28.
Yeah.
Now re-educate ourselves on the facts that probably if we save or having a 401k will be a great
It's like,
idea.
what?
What the fuck?
What?
Back in the day, say somebody, what?
Dude, I live on a fixed income. Uncle
401k, give me
Sam.
another beer. Who gives a shit about
Yeah, I know.
401k, you know?
I know, right? What is that? Anyways.
Exactly.
Hey, it's Paul Anthony. Quick interruption on the podcast here. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. It makes a big, big difference. Back to the podcast.
Now to change it a little bit, but it's also part of who you are. And a lot of people don't know, but I know how many movies you've been in, even if it's for a few seconds. Can you tell us the list of movies and some of them that I know?
God, I
Well,
can't
there's
remember.
a couple that I have on my phone.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not talking about the ones that you guys do at home.
Of course, we know.
Okay.
We know blood in, blood out.
Blood in, blood out. Órale,
Into
Simón.
the blue.
Okay.
With
Into
Paul
the
Walker
blue.
or Jessica Alba.
Uh-huh.
Army of One. I did.
But you've been in a few.
Yeah, several movies.
How
I did
was that?
several
Just
movies.
they come to looking for you and say, Gil, you know what? I want you to
You
be
know
in
who
this
I
movie.
play? Gil
Gil.
in the movie. Gil.
It was fucking cool even there.
Yeah,
So that's what they come looking for you and say, like, I want you to be in the movie.
Yeah.
Even if it's for 10 seconds.
yeah,
Pull out your shirt and be there.
yeah. I played the character Gil.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
On TV shows, I was on Roseanne, Step by Step, Empty Nest, all those, and a bunch of rock videos.
For example, rock bands. Rock bands that you
Poison,
tattoo.
Aerosmith,
Bands that you tattoo.
Biohazard, huh?
What are the bands that you tattoo? Musicians.
Everybody.
For example,
Aerosmith, Poison,
Watch.
Motley,
Motley Crue.
Cinderella, Motorhead.
Gil, tell them how heavily involved you are in the hip hop community.
I was the last person to tattoo Tupac.
See, people don't know that.
People don't know that.
People don't know that.
Unbelievable.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody thinks that he's Motley Crue and Motorhead, but
Yeah.
he had heavy influence. I'm
Oh
crazy
shit!
about
And I
hip
used to
hop.
hang out at the shop when
You know?
when he dangled Vanilla Ice off the thing. He snatched them up out of my shop, took them across the street to fucking dangle them on there. You know, when I tattooed Tupac, I didn't even know who he was because I didn't listen to rap. You know, what I mean?
You remember what tattoo you did on him?
Yeah, it's actually in the Sullen Museum, the stencil. You said blood, not tears. I got a picture of it. It's like down here. The tattoo wasn't even healed when he got killed. And I'm going to
Unbelievable.
tell you a funny story here, a little bit, and I got to be very careful about this. I didn't, like I said, I don't follow rap, but Suge Knight and everybody's in the shop. So after Tupac gets killed, and everybody's around there, and everybody's talking about this Biggie Small, Notorious B.I.G. and stuff like that. He starts calling me, this guy, wanting me to come to the Beverly Hilton to tattoo him. I'm like, no way am I getting involved in all this bullshit, dude. You know what I mean? And this goes on for some time. Well, after so long, he's calling, well, can you send one of your guys over here to tattoo me? I said, I'm not doing that, man.
Yeah.
I'm not getting involved in this shootout crap.
I
You
hope
know?
that's in camera.
Oh my God.
Luna is doing her
She's
own
like, oh,
thing.
please, let her go.
And this goes on for some time. Okay, we'll cut to the chase. I'm tattooing this very big, famous, popular basketball stuff,
Okay.
right? And he's got a roll of paper towels in his mouth because he didn't like the pain, right?
Huh.
And he's generally pretty good for a half hour or so of tattooing.
Yeah.
But anyway, all of a sudden, I see out of the corner of my eye, I see a black limo pull up in front of the shop, but it's kind of standard for 8861 West Sunset Boulevard,
Uh-huh.
which is right across
The old
from
shop
the
is
Viper
Sunset
Room
Boulevard, yeah?
and all that, okay? And I look over, and here's this guy, Biggie Small. Right? So I'm not going to deny him. He's in the shop. He can get tattooed, man. So he goes in,
Wow.
gets tattooed from Mark.
Wow.
Right? So he gets it tattooed. He's there a couple hours, and so is this guy. One guy stays there too,
Yeah.
which is unusual.
Mm-hmm.
And when Biggie leaves, so does this guy that I'm tattooing, right? Because then he goes, I got to go now. Notorious B.I.G., he leaves. He goes to the fucking Hyatt house, changes clothes, goes down to the Peterson Museum and gets blown away. Still had the Band-Aid on the tattoo.
Wow.
Now, you want to talk full circle.
People don't know.
Wow.
I I also heard that someone celebrated a birthday not too long ago.
Yeah, 70.
70. Congratulations, bro.
Congratulations. It's just,
70. Yeah, I know. That's a biggie.
man, I'm telling you that you got stories. It's just
You know,
that's-
one time I had like 5 offers, people wanting me to do a book.
and what happened?
I didn't feel right about it. I didn't know. I just didn't do it. You know, but now I'm ready, and now nobody's interested in writing it.
Oh well, don't worry about it because we're gonna do something about it, and you have to be there. We're gonna organize something about it. I promise.
You know, because I mean, that's had an amazing life. The tattooing has taken me places like in the garage now. When you come in, we took our laminate passes from like backstage passes and stuff, and from conventions and stuff, and lined them up, and it's pretty amazing to see.
Gill, one
You know?
thing that I always wanted to ask you is because I write. I'm 58. I've been writing since I
got
was
socks that old.
13. I write. I have my motorcycle inside my garage, my shop.
Yeah.
That I hope like one day you can come and see it. It's the only garage in Florida that I have motorcycles, hot rods, old school shop, everything inside the same
I'm dying to see it.
the same roof. So what was the relationship? And I tattoo a lot of MCs, some that I can say that I tattoo, some that I prefer not to
Yeah.
say. I've been involved with MCs all my life and tattooing them and
Yeah.
so you too.
It's in the job. It's in the life.
What was the relationship always of the motorcycle and the tattoo?
Well, I ride a motorcycle. I ride
Okay.
a motorcycle. When the kids was old enough, you know, then I wanted to try to ride. I wanted to ride with a club. I wanted to be riding a club. So I was going to ride with the red and white.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I spent 2 years there. I couldn't even make a prospect.
Just hanging around.
2 years to hang around. Couldn't even make a prospect.
on some chapter where? There in Cali?
Yeah.
Verdo?
California.
Yeah?
No. San Fernando.
San Fernando Valley. Okay.
Yeah, and I had some good friends in that chapter, but the young guys, not so much, you know. But I mean, I'm just kind of set in my ways,
Wow.
you know.
You think?
And I know a lot of people,
Yeah.
you know, and
You tattoo a lot of people.
I wear
also
too
from the
many
club.
rings. I have on too
Yeah.
many knives. I just don't, you know, this on and on and on, you know. So I didn't fit. And obviously,
How
because,
can-
I mean, 2
You know-
years that don't even make a prospect. There was guys, after I had a year in hanging around, there was guys that came in, got prospect, got their patch.
Wow.
You know?
Because if you ask me and you telling me that you didn't fit in that
I
in
can
that
see it though.
culture.
He was too cool.
Well, I
He
used
was
to see
he was
if I
too
was
cool
too
for the
cool,
roles, man.
I'm
He was
just
like,
too
Gill in
Gill.
the magazine.
I'm just too Gill.
And
There
to
you
me,
go.
I used to see Gill in the magazine and with no shirt. And I say, that's the way that a biker has to look like. It was to me, it was the biker, not only the tattoo artist, but the belt, the buckle, the rings, and just the suspenders. It was the way that a biker, and he's telling me that he hung around some club.
I mean, if
I
you're the
wanna
president of
repeat
the
it.
club, you're not
And-
gonna let somebody cooler than you in.
There was, let me tell you one episode. I go out with a young member. This is right towards you. And we go to a bar. And there's a pretty girl sitting at the bar, all done up with the knock me down and fuck me shoes and all that.
Yeah.
And she got an old man that's playing pool, her boyfriend, who's not, don't look like he's a biker or nothing like that, but he looks like a hard-working man. Big old thick forearms and wrists, and you could tell he worked hard that day. Now he was drinking some beer and playing some pool, Anyway, the member tells me, I'm going to go hit on this chick. So, she got a boyfriend over a man on there. I can do whatever I want. I'm a Hell's Angel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he goes over and is talking to her, and finally the boyfriend sees it, and of course the girl's like, oh, look at all the pins and buttons and all this and that, oh boy, playing right into it. And then the husband, see your boyfriend, whatever, turned out to be a husband, comes over and goes, you could see they were talking, and the member looks over at me to see if I'm watching, and of course I'm watching. And finally, they shake hands, kind of, and the member walks me, comes and sits down, and he goes, "Not a very." So he don't. I guess you don't have much of a sense of humor or something like that, you know. He says, "But I'm going to get me some of that." Okay. So guy goes back to playing pool a little bit later. Guy's had a few more beers. He goes, "I'm going to go back up there. Keep an eye on me." Okay. So he does. You know, he goes back up there, and of course, you got more pins and buttons, and blah, 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 blah. You know, and finally you can just see it, he just puts the pool stick down. He's had enough, and he goes over there and talking, and then they just go at it. And this guy opens up a can of whoop ass on this member.
Really?
Yeah. So I go over there, but I'm not going to get involved. And, you know, I mean, it's a fair fight, one-on-one. He asked for it. You know, and the guy's beating him. When it starts seeing a little bit of blood, and the guy's obviously whooped, and the guy's still beating him, I told him, "Get off him, man. That's enough." He looks, I said, "Get off of him."
Yeah. So
the guy jumps up and he goes, "Hey, motherfucker." I said, "Hey, I'm not him. I'm not a motherfucker. Don't start with me."
Yeah.
You know? He goes, "You keep him away from my lady." I said, "Well, that's on him." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just enough is enough right now. Go on about your business.
Yeah. So
and now the member gets up and he goes, "Oh, yeah, you want to be in my club? Fuck this, man. You blah, 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 blah. You coming up on the floor tomorrow." Okay. So, of course, I come up on the floor. You know what I mean? I get a call next day and I'm there. You know, you let this happen, let that happen. No, you fucking asked for it. Guys,
pretty much. He asked for it.
You know, the guy's a fucking idiot. You can't call him a fucking idiot. Well, he's a fucking idiot. You know?
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? That it's different, for example, from when I'm coming from for example, I was born in Argentina from a Croatian father and a French mom. So it was kind of like a geographical accident for me just to be born there, you know? And I
know Leo from Brazil was in Argentina. I know him very well.
I know it too. Yeah. But we have like just this parallel, you know, going on the industry and developing, even with some years that I started a little bit later than you. But the motorcycles, the club, there was always involved in the tattoo life. Yeah. It was part of life, riding your bike to the shop, you know, and going to the bar. And so that's long gone. You don't see that anymore. The tattoo now, the industry has become like this more diluted industry when there is not so much peace and vinegar like I used to be back in the day. If you need to bring something back from the past, let's say like it could be a tattoo artist that you would like just to be sitting next to you.
Oh, there's several of those I'd like to have back.
Who?
Well, Zeke.
Okay.
Smiling Paul. Danny Fowler.
Danny Fowler. I still have like probably 3 or 4 machines.
Yeah. He was a fucking
Danny
hoot.
The machine.
He was a fucking hoot.
And device
he had a fucking,
system for the
on
machines.
his fireplace, he had a fucking bottle of urine from Annie Sprinkle that he prayed to every day.
Unbelievable. That's fucked up. But Danny, who else? Who else you will bring back from the past?
Crow.
JD?
Asa Lee Crow.
Okay.
So JD's still alive.
JD's still alive, yeah.
They can't bring him back yet.
There you go.
Yeah, there's just a fucking... It's on and on.
Will you put all of them in the same show working with you?
Oh, hell yeah. And a fist fight, gun fight.
My mission with this episode, we usually bring tattoo artists that they talk, for example, about the conventions, people that have been in masters in the show, you know, and they tell us about the fuckery of the show and all the stuff. This is the first time that we have this. We have like a part of the history of tattooing on the show. And to me, I'm telling you, it's an honor. It's really an honor. This is going to be remembered. And we also planning, like we were discussing, and I'm going to make this public. I'm going to just put it out there. We're talking about collecting and recollecting and preserving history. Some of the history, like for example, with Zeke, in his side is lost, but you still have some of Zeke heart in your garage, in that letter, in that handwriting that I sent to you.
I tell you, I got in our dining area. I got an oil painting, right, like a Bob Ross oil painting. On the back it says to Brother Gill,
Yeah.
pals for years and years, first and last oil painting.
Yeah.
Zeke, right? And then above a window and bookcase, I got some long horns that when Zeke picked me up in Hollywood and would come out to North Carolina to tattoo with him for a while. Picked up me and my daughter on my motorcycle and brought us out there.
Yeah.
On a flatbed trailer. By the time we got there, the flatbed trailer, you couldn't even see the bike. You just bought everything at every little store along their 10, you know. But he bought these sets of horns, you know, that we had our names put on them to go above our stations.
Yeah.
So I got my set of horns, and years ago when Zeke went up to Alaska to pan for gold and tattoo, you know, he did it the right way. You know, he survived the black powder rifles and pistol.
Yeah.
You know, and I got the two rifles up there. Got all
Amazing.
that
So
stuff from him.
you have also a lot of ways that you can document part of the history also too of tattooing. So that's what I'm saying. I was making it public and just putting it out there.
A good friend of mine was Philadelphia Eddie.
Yeah, yeah, mine too.
He educated me.
Yeah.
He taught you.
Yeah.
He taught me.
He
Wow.
taught you.
No matter what I say, it sounds bad. He taught me things and gave me information that I hold dear and will hold
Yeah,
dear
he was
for
a
decades
sweetheart,
to
man.
come.
I love Eddie
Yeah.
too, yeah.
And I didn't talk to him enough.
Well,
And
we
then-
always say that about everybody that's gone.
You know? So I don't want to
Everybody
make the
that's
same
gone, you
mistake.
never spent enough time with
So
them.
you invited me to your house. I hope you're fucking ready for me to show up.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
You know what
going.
I'm saying?
Gil, when is the last time that you went to Daytona by week?
Daytona Bike Week, years ago. 30
Last
some
time.
years ago.
What you remember last time that you went to Daytona?
What's that?
we
We
went-
did go. We did go about
About
4 or
5
5 years ago.
Did
for
you
Bike Week.
you were riding over there?
Yeah.
No shit. You still have the bike at home?
Yeah.
What you have? Showhead, panhead?
Well,
What you have?
my floor guy from Hollywood was Emerson Forth, who now owns Hatchback.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Emerson Forth.
You know who he's talking about?
Of course.
Pirate
He's
He was my floor guy.
a
Yeah.
good friend of mine.
Yeah.
I get a text at the shop here, and he goes, "What color you want?" You know, so he calls me, goes, "I'm going to come down Wednesday and pick you and Gemma up. I'm going to bring you down to Miami and buy you a new motorcycle to say thank you." How cool is that, huh?
So I'm gonna be just rounding this up, and again, it's a lot of people that's gonna be watching this that they know you. They're gonna appreciate every single bit of information and experiences that both of you have shared with us. Still, the honor is all ours. But if people wanna see what you're still doing, the drawings, pictures of the bike, where is the social media? How people gonna find you? Let's give the
go
people
to-
information.
Gill the Drill.
Gill
on
the Drill?
On Instagram.
Gill.
Yeah. THEDRILL. Gill the Drill.
Anything else? Facebook? Anything
Well, yeah,
else?
he's on Facebook. He's-
Okay.
And we got the TikTok and all the
I'm sure
stuff.
even in Wikipedia,
But-
you're everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
you know, like you could like contact him on Instagram, and you could buy like a skull drawing. That would
Yeah,
be
we
cool.
are launching.
You know,
We are launching
Okay.
the pen and ink skulls with hats. I'm doing now. I'm
No,
doing
you're not
this.
launching it. You already
Launch
launched
it, but got sick and stuff.
So that's your hand drawing. You still
Yeah.
drawing
Yeah.
the skulls
With
with
the
the
pen.
flames.
He's
Yeah.
doing
No,
I want my
this is
skull
skulls
with a
with
flame.
hats. I'm doing skulls with hats.
Okay.
Yeah, so he his choice of hat, $100 a drawing, $10 more if you want insurance and tracking, and like he's doing 100s in a series. So
How the forms of payment for the skulls?
we would like the Venmo, the
Venmo,
Cash App.
Zelle?
And whatchamacallit, PayPal, all of them.
And how
All
to reach
of
them to you, right?
All of them.
Okay, guys, Instagram, the skulls. If you don't have it, you're a loser. Go and buy the skull, okay? From Gill. Gill the Drill. I'm
Look.
gonna stand up and I want your blessing.
You got it.
I want your blessing and I want it just like this.
Oh my
Bless
goodness.
me, Gill.
What do you want me to hit him in the head?
Yeah.
Hard.
Bless me.
You make me feel good. All right, thank you, man.
I love you.
Thank you.
For
so
coming,
very
both
much
of you.
For having
This
us.
is. Oh, I forgot you're European.
Yeah.
We did it 3 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gill, you're my hero, brother. And
Thank you very
the
much.
pleasure was
Very
mine.
flattering. Man, you guys come to the house soon.
Remember, if you like what we're doing, follow, share, and subscribe.
And if you really like what we're doing, please give us a 5-star review. It really helps.